Imagine a room that has suddenly gone quiet. You've just been insulted. Perhaps it was a sharp comment about your competence in front of colleagues, or a dismissive remark from someone you thought respected you. In that microsecond, a physical transformation occurs. Your chest tightens. A wave of heat climbs the back of your neck. Your heart rate accelerates, signaling a prehistoric call to arms. Your mind, now flooded with adrenaline, presents you with two immediate options: strike back with a barbed tongue, or shrink away in humiliated silence. Most people spend their entire lives oscillating between these two poles, aggression or submission. They believe that to be strong is to win the argument, and to be silent is to lose it. But there is a third path, a quiet territory occupied by those who have mastered the most difficult landscape on earth, their own internal state. To be disrespected is a trial of your sovereignty. It is the moment where you decide who actually owns your peace of mind. If a single sentence from a stranger or a friend can ruin your day, then you are not the master of your life. You are a puppet, and they have just found your strings. When you react instantly to an insult, you are effectively handing over your autonomy. You are telling the other person that their opinion of you is more powerful than your own knowledge of yourself. This is the ultimate low-status behavior, not because you were insulted, but because you were moved. True power does not bark. It does not scramble to defend its borders. True power resides in the ability to remain unperturbed while the storm rages around you. It is the difference between a pebble that is easily tossed up by a wave and the cliffside that remains indifferent to the tide. In the economy of human interaction, your attention and your emotional reaction are your most valuable currencies. To spend them on someone who treats you poorly is a bad investment. It is an admission that they are worth your energy. 2,000 years ago, a man who rose from the depths of slavery to become one of the most influential teachers in history, Epictetus, noted that no one can hurt you unless you allow them to. He taught that we are not disturbed by things themselves, but by the views we take of them. To a Stoic, an insult is merely air vibrating at a certain frequency. It has no power to penetrate the skin or alter the soul unless we open the gate and invite it in. This is not a philosophy of passivity. It is a philosophy of supreme psychological dominance. It is the realization that your character is a fortress, and the only person who can breach the walls is you. When someone attempts to disrespect you, they are not attacking you. They are revealing a lack of self-control within themselves. To navigate this, we must distinguish between two types of existence: the reactive and the sovereign. The reactive individual is a slave to external stimuli. They are a mirror reflecting whatever energy is thrown at them. If someone is angry, they become angry. If someone is rude, they become defensive. They have no core, only a series of impulses. The sovereign individual, however, operates from a center of gravity. They observe the insult as a scientist observes a specimen. They see the flailing ego of the other person and recognize it for what it is: a moment of weakness, a cry for significance, or a failure of character. The sovereign does not react. They respond, or better yet, they remain unmoved. The first way to reclaim the sovereignty is through the practice of the objective pause. When the sting of disrespect hits, your biological system demands an immediate retort. You must deny it. This is not the silence of the defeated. It is the silence of the predator. By creating a gap of even 5 seconds between the insult and your response, you shift the power dynamic. You show that you are not governed by the other person's timeline. In this pause, you ask yourself, does this person's opinion have the power to change the truth of who I am? If a blind man tells you the sky is green, you do not get angry. You feel a sense of pity for his lack of vision. Disrespect is often a form of moral blindness. By pausing, you remain the observer rather than the participant. The second principle is the strategy of cognitive reframing. When someone insults you, they are attempting to project their internal chaos onto you. A Stoic looks at the insult and strips away the emotional language, looking only at the facts. If someone calls you a failure, you ask, is there any truth in this? If there is, they have done you a favor by pointing out an area for growth. If there is not, then they are simply lying. And a lie about you says nothing about your worth. You must learn to view an insult as if it were a sudden rainstorm. You don't get angry at the clouds for raining. You simply decide whether to open an umbrella or walk through the water. The insult is an external event. Your hurt is an internal choice. The third method is the mirror of pity. This is perhaps the most sophisticated tool in the Stoic arsenal. It requires you to realize that a person who spends their energy trying to diminish others is someone who is deeply unsettled within themselves. Content, high-status individuals do not feel the need to belittle. Only the insecure, the envious, or the hurting seek to inflict pain. When you see a person acting out in this respect, reframe your anger into a quiet, detached compassion. They are trapped in a cycle of negativity that you are free from. When you look at an aggressor and see their struggle instead of their strength, their words lose all their venom. You realize that you are not the target. You are merely a screen they are using to project their own dissatisfaction. The fourth way is the use of sovereign silence. We often feel that if we don't respond, we have lost the encounter. In reality, the most devastating response to disrespect is often no response at all. To argue is to grant the other person's words a seat at the table. It validates their right to challenge you. When you offer a calm, steady gaze and then return to your work, you are communicating that their behavior is so insignificant that it doesn't even warrant a correction. You are effectively saying, "Your attempt to disturb me has failed so completely that I am not even offended." This is the ultimate demonstration of a status. It shows that your internal peace is not for sale, and certainly not at the price of a petty remark. The fifth and final principle is the check of the internal ego. Often our anger at being disrespected doesn't come from the insult itself, but from our own vanity. We feel our image has been tarnished. But what is an image? It is a shadow, a phantom that lives in the minds of others. You cannot control what people think of you, and to try is a form of madness. A Stoic finds their dignity not in their reputation, but in their agency. If you have acted with integrity, or if you have remained disciplined, and if you have kept your word, then no amount of external noise can diminish you. Use the moment of disrespect to check if you are becoming too attached to the praise of the world. If you are, the insult is a necessary medicine to remind you that your worth is found within. Integrating these practices is not about becoming a robot. It is about becoming a master of the human mechanism. It begins with the body. When you feel that surge of heat, that impulse to defend, you must breathe. You must feel the tension in your hands and consciously release it. You must recognize that the urge to win the social exchange is a trap designed to lower you to the level of the aggressor. You win the moment you decide that your character is more important than your ego. Dignity is not something that is given to you by others. It is something you maintain for yourself. It is an unstealable asset. As you move through the world, you will encounter those who wish to test your boundaries. They will use words, gestures, and silences to try and provoke a reaction. See these moments not as threats but as opportunities for training. Each insult is a weight in the gym of the soul. Each moment of disrespect is a chance to prove to yourself that you are the one in control. You are the architect of your emotional landscape. You decide what moves you and what remains at the gates. True maturity is the realization that you have a choice. You can be the person who reacts, who shouts, who loses sleep over the opinions of the small-minded. Or you can be the person who stands like a mountain watching the clouds pass entirely unaffected by the weather. The world will try to tell you who you are, through its praise and its criticism. Your task is to remain quiet enough to hear the truth that comes from within. You are the sovereign of your mind. Act like it. If you find yourself ready to claim this internal order, let this be the moment you commit to your own sovereignty. Comment Stillness if you stayed until the end